Thank you for joining us for this webinar that is more focused on providing you with a sort of thought leadership rather than kind of our journey as much about how you can leverage digital disruption and some innovative solutions and kind of driving the kind of productivity gains needed in the MRO space. My name is Kartik Gade. I'm the VP of Sales at Scope AR. I'm joined by Christine Greer, who's a Senior Customer Success Manager and works with some of our most strategic aerospace and aviation customers. So the agenda for today, as I mentioned, is more focused on the MRO space, their challenges, how they can leverage digital disruption. But I think it would be a great place to give you just a very brief background as to who Scope is and kind of what we've been doing in this area. And at the very end, Christine's going to walk you through some customer journeys, which I hope will be extremely relatable to some of the things that you're going on or facing right now on a day-in, day-out basis. So Scope AR is a software platform that can be leveraged to mainstream AR work instructions. We've been around for over a decade, driving value for our customers in aerospace and defense, aviation, heavy industrials, semiconductors, and data centers. This is just a list of some of our strategic customers that we've been bringing value for across all their various business units at an enterprise level. And then obviously, Scope's been recognized by Inc. 5000 in multiple years as one of the fastest growing companies where our technologies are providing value to our customers. We're also a part of the XR Hall of Fame, just to get some validation for all the good work that we've been doing over the last decade. So as promised, just diving right into some of the challenges facing the MRO space. And this is based on obviously research out there in the public, conversations with our existing customers and peers, and the problems we're helping them solve. And one of the biggest ones being the labor gap that exists facing MRO operators. This could be for a myriad of reasons. One of the biggest ones being the brain drain that happened right after COVID, the reorganizations that corporations did. But talking to many of our customers, one of the quotes here, as you can see, they have significant challenges in hiring people that can help them and train them up and work on their fleet. We have another customer who's extremely concerned about close to a 40% attrition over the next couple of years as their current AMEs phase out. And as we're all aware, the journey to train up new AMEs can take more than 4 years at a time. So what capabilities and technologies can you use to kind of speed that up, provide some sort of flexibility in enablement is kind of one of the key criteria that we're looking to solve for all of you. The other area that is a key focus is MRO costs. As Bloomberg has noted, costs have gone up from anywhere 18 to 30% year over year in 2023, and that's on top of close to a 20 to 25% increase the year prior. Now, there are a lot of reasons as to why the costs have gone up. One of the reasons could be supply chain constraints, but a lack of skilled labor, lack of standardized processes, heavy reliance on paper-driven processes has been a contributing factor as well. We also know that there is more happening from a check A maintenance requirements than check B. And then by the time you get to kind of the heavy maintenance side of it for the later life cycle of an aircraft or an equipment in an aircraft, those are also being heavily impacted due to a lack of SMEs in the space. CNBC just did a segment in August, which kind of spoke to how, narrow body engine overhaul used to be 60 to 75 days. It's almost tripled, right? So these are some of the pain points that we know that all of you are facing, and how can we fix a lot of these? MRO has demanding turnaround times, and I say MRO and sustainment because I'm talking about both civil and military operators that we work with at this moment in time, and you just are unable to keep pace with the demand that exists right now. Again, as I said, speaking with customers, I know there's paperwork that you have to look into pre-work. There's paperwork during the process itself, and a lot of paperwork that has to be filled and filed from a documentation and compliance perspective after the fact. One of our customers was telling us they have warehouses with all this paperwork that needs to be documented, and it just is very, very time consuming for them. And it's even harder when you have to run 24/7 operations. The other challenge that's happening quite a bit as a result of that lack of skilled labor is just errors that happen. And some of these errors can be extremely expensive from a rework perspective as well. And it gets harder and harder as a lot of companies look at modernizing their fleet. There's fleet complexity, and the lack of flex worker training is challenging as well. So as either planes stay grounded or equipment isn't working, that obviously puts significant downward pressure on cost that is incurred per available seat per mile is a key metric that a lot of airlines look at. At the same time, if your aircraft and fleet isn't available, then your revenue also goes down for every available seat per mile as well. So even though publicly we've been hearing about travel demand and everybody traveling, the margins have been extremely low as a result of some of these key challenges that each and every one of you is facing at this moment in time. So what are companies in the space doing, or what can you be doing, and how can you leverage some of this from a digital disruption standpoint? So McKinsey just did a report last year. They published it earlier in the year about everybody leaning into digital capabilities, and that's for modernization of their applications, but also leveraging innovative solutions out there that enable the frontline technicians to do their job a lot more efficiently in a much safer way, and just at a much greater speed as well. And these are the results of companies who have embraced digital, kind of the disruption of the solutions. So you look at close to a 20% reduction in costs, you look to close to a 20% increased aircraft availability that drives more revenues. But one of the key metrics is that last bar on the right-hand side, which talks about improved employee experience, right? Just moving away from paper-heavy aspects of the job to providing them with a more immersive experience, leveraging some of the capabilities through augmented reality, for example. The benefits that we've driven through our solution, or what you can get from leveraging a solution similar to ours, is obviously error reduction, right? You limit the rework, you cut down on the costs, you drive standardization and consistency in best practices. You have better time and resource management. One aspect of that is with the reduced number of SMEs, they have to train, they have to work on the equipment. So their productivity is impacted significantly. We're also aware the time it takes when you have to look for some instructions deep inside a manual, which can be really, really time consuming as well, right? And then we also talked about the paperwork aspect of it. So digitizing enables you to reduce the amount of paperwork you have real-time documentation, you're removing errors, and then you're driving down costs all at the same time for a better and improved finished product. These are just some use cases that you can use for, and how you leverage augmented reality, for example. We're not going to dive deep into it because today is just about the broader theme of it, but we're more than happy to have a deep dive conversation with you offline, and we'll provide some links as to how you can connect with us and schedule a deeper conversation around these use cases and how they can bring benefit to you. We just wanted to give you a quick overview of what AR work instructions could look like. So on the left-hand side, you see, written information in a manual, and on the right-hand side, you can see how those instructions have been transformed into an immersive experience. It's multiple steps shown together just to kind of give you the effect, but you can use these work instructions either in a handheld device, which is Apple or Android supported. You could use it on a Microsoft HoloLens and Apple Vision Pro. So from a software to hardware standpoint, we're hardware agnostic, and we kind of rely on our customers to make that decision. But again, you can see the ease of use in which you can follow a lot of the instructions here. So how do we make what we have even better? I know AI is a buzzword that everybody talks about. So how are we leveraging AI from an augmented reality standpoint? Is we're leveraging computer vision to find defects when we go through inspections, whether you're doing a check A inspection, like I said, or something more detailed at a later date. You can have dynamic task sequencing. You can have adaptive AR work instructions as a result, that would align to whatever your requirements would be. You can make enhanced decision making, leveraging some of those capabilities as well. And then, even though creation of AR work instructions has become easier, we can leverage AI to auto-generate AR experiences using PDFs, using videos. We can optimize 3D content for the AR experiences. And then obviously from an end user assistance standpoint, we've seen some of these in place already from, chatbots, AI-powered experts, co-pilots, so on and so forth. Now, Scope has already started working on some of these things, and we hope to mature a lot of these capabilities over the next 2 to 3 years. Now, to complete the loop, we also can see that you can have integrations with your existing application, whether it's project lifecycle, with your MRO applications, MES applications, ERP, learning management. So we're bringing a full closed loop for you, a kind of an end-to-end solution, which is, again, part of that digital transformation journey that a lot of companies are taking right now, that modernization journey that a lot of companies are taking at the moment. So I'm going to transition very shortly to Christine. But before I do that, this is, again, just a very quick look at one of our existing customers leveraging AR technology to change a landing gear on a Dreamliner. So this is kind of just to give you a look and feel for what the solution looks like. With that, Christine, I'll pass it on to you. Just let me know when you need me to move the slides.
Perfect. Thanks, Kartik. All right. As you've mentioned, the MRO industry is facing significant shifts and everyone's grappling with how to adapt, which leads me to my customer use case. Before being introduced at MRO 2023, this leading MRO facility was equally facing similar challenges, more specifically around paperwork instructions, which can be inefficient and prone to human error, having fragmented applications for managing source files and support materials that can lead to disjointed workflows, challenges in capturing and evaluating their best practices or lessons learned, training limited to being in the classroom, online, or on the job, which can lead to inconsistent skill levels, and an aging workforce that's approaching retirement, contributing to a loss of their tribal knowledge. I'd like to paint a picture that's, I'm sure, very relatable to you that they shared with me early on. Imagine having a technician or AME and they are provided a printed work order. They then review this and gather other necessary documents like work instructions or the engineering technical instructions. They begin work on the inspection or assembly, but then they reach a step that requires them to gather more information or go to the engine manual. They now have to stop, walk over to their desktop, pull up the reference part or instruction, then continue on with their task. Now they reach a step that requires them to take a photo or make notes and take measurements. And they, again, have to leave that area, go find a camera, and then document this inside of their ERP. Repeat this process multiple times throughout the task, and you can only imagine the amount of time that's not spent on the actual inspection or assembly. Not to mention that these are probably experienced technicians or AMEs that may have created their own process that's going to minimize that downtime. Someone who's brand new will now more than likely take twice as long and have a higher probability of making costly and timely errors for both the facility and their customer, which leads us to where we are with them today in just a short amount of time. Next slide, Kartik. Earlier this year, they performed a time study for an inspection work order that was not performed by 2 brand new technicians. One technician was using the WorkLink app via an iPad, while the other technician used their conventional inspection methods. And the results were an astonishing 40% reduction in time using WorkLink, using the AR use case. As you can see on this image, the work instructions were carefully developed to minimize these challenges. The app allows for insets or reference materials directly out of the engine manual, and allows them to capture the real-time data with built-in forms to capture those measurements or notes or any lessons learned or best practices. And as they ramp up for full-scale development, they're also expecting to see an upwards of 50% reduction in their cost of poor quality due to missed findings. The introductions of this initiative also increase the engagement between their technicians, engineers, and training materials and teams, as well as streamline knowledge transfer, providing a more effective training in a lot less time. One thing I want to mention and applaud this team for was their dedication to including all parts of their business in this initiative. Before dedicating to it fully, they polled the engineers and leadership on their interests, concerns, or any thoughts of viability of the technology. They received over 180 positive responses. And as most of you know, one of the major challenges of rolling out new technology is adoption. So involving everyone from the technicians to leadership not only reduced the resistance to the change, but it also ensured a more comprehensive implementation that was tailored to their real needs of the workforce. All of that to say, this facility and their hard work didn't go unnoticed because they were recently awarded the 2024 Innovation Award for their company. So what's next? This full-scale rollout isn't just about their implementation. They're also looking to build a cohesive ecosystem where every asset, process, and team member is integrated into a single and comprehensive framework. To ensure it's seamless coordinated between maintenance and the broader business process, they would also like to integrate WorkLink directly into their ERP system. This connection is going to enable real-time data flow between the actual maintenance activity and operations, and allowing for better tracking of their resources, costs, and performance. Another key milestone in their journey is the soft launch. So we started off with inspection, and now we're in the soft launch of assembly work instructions. Similar to inspections, these AR work instructions are hoping to streamline the assembly process by providing a more clear step-by-step guidance to their workers in real time to help reduce those errors, speed up training for new employees, and ensure consistent quality in every task. Finally, as they continue to innovate, they're also in the discovery phase of their new use cases for facilities, and they're hoping to reduce production bottlenecks that interrupt the production workflow. I'll turn it over to you, Kartik, to share some more of our customer success stories.
Yeah, thank you for that, Christine. So that was one of the largest MRO operators in North America, but here are some data points that we've collected with some of our other customers as well, right? And these are their data points for very specific tasks. From an overall perspective, reduction in training and on-ramp time by 50%, reduction in pre-work and preparation by 95%, and then accelerated installer assembly by almost 10x. But if you talk about very specific tasks like wiring harness installation, an average of 25% reduction in task times, looking at inspections being done really, really quick as compared to what they were taking in the past. I do want to go back to a point that Christine made when she was talking about her customer, and there may be a perception that the barrier to entry is really, really high to leverage augmented reality work instructions or some of these modern solutions, and the answer to that is not the case. The capabilities that exist today, from creation of work instructions to leveraging work instructions, the maturity, the hardware that you can leverage to visualize all of this, has become significantly better. And we see an increased engagement that we have, as a result of this to drive a lot of these results. So it was a very quick overview of the challenges. We wanted to walk you through that. The solutions are real. They have real impact on existing customers that are very big enterprises that are leveraging these kind of technologies at scale. So just from a call to action standpoint, we again appreciate you joining this webinar. You will be receiving a recording of this webinar. One of my colleagues is going to be putting up a link if you want to have a much deeper conversation with a member of the scope team to learn about additional use cases, benefits in relationship to your specific challenges. Then you can also sign up for our newsletter to continue to get updated information as to what's happening in the space. So with that, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for giving Christina an opportunity to kind of walk you through this journey. And hopefully we will get an opportunity to talk to you one-on-one. Appreciate it.